What's up, my friends? Welcome back to the RAF Scents channel. I hope you guys are well today, and welcome to my backyard. I know it is super bright behind me. I'm sorry, but I live in Central Florida. Sunshine is just part of life here. But this is also a little bit about what I'm going to talk about today, because here in Central Florida, it seems like it's summer 10 months of the year. It's always in the 80s or 90s. Even today, it's the beginning of April, and it's already 91 degrees out here. As a fragrance guy, that kind of presents a little bit of a problem, because some of my favorite fragrances are wintertime fragrances. You know, those fragrances that have notes of tobacco and vanilla and spices and rum and leather, all of those good things. So I've had to come up with some ways to wear fragrances that are meant for the winter, but in the summertime. So in this video, I'm going to give you 7 fragrances that you can pull off when it's hot outside. It's a little bit difficult sometimes, but I promise it is possible. I'm going to tell you all about it. Let's go. So what qualities should a fall and winter fragrance have that would make it versatile enough to be worn in the spring and summertime? It all has to do with how heavy and dense the fragrance is. Let's take something like Mancera Red Tobacco, for example. Such an amazing tobacco scent. It's got some beautiful, smooth spices in there, but it is a very heavy fragrance that lasts 24 hours. You can smell it from a mile away. When you mix it with high heat and high humidity, it will absolutely terrorize those around you. But when you take something that is a little bit lighter, like our first fragrance on this list, Bentley for Men Intense, it changes the game a little bit. This is a fragrance that has some fall and winter-esque notes in it, like rum, some woody notes, a little cinnamon, leather, benzoin, and incense. But there are also a few other notes that give it a little bit of an uplifting type of vibe, with some bay leaf, some bergamot, black pepper, clary sage, and some patchouli. So you see what I'm going for there? There are some qualities. This is a lighter fragrance that's not going to sit as heavy like the Mancera Red Tobacco. These are the qualities that a fall and winter fragrance can have that will make it suitable for the summer months. And this one's a really good option. It's not too expensive, like $30, $35. And if you're looking for something that's got, I don't know, some edgier vibes to it, this is a good starter fragrance for those of you guys that want something edgy, want something a little bad boy, okay? Bentley for Men Intense, I would absolutely try this out during the summertime. Now, when we talk about wearing a fall and winter fragrance in the spring and summer, there is another factor to consider, and that is humidity. When it is very humid outside, I would actually recommend not wearing some of these fall and winter fragrances, even the ones that are in this list, because the more humid it is, the more the notes in the fragrance are going to be muddled. The performance is going to be thrown off a little bit. It just makes for a mess all around. On the other hand, though, if you live in a place where there's dry heat, you know, Nevada and New Mexico, Arizona, parts of Texas, it's going to be a lot easier to wear some of these fragrances in the summertime. But fragrance number 2, though, it's a little bit of a curveball, because it's got some notes in it that give it a little bit more of a dry feel, and that is Maison Margiela's Jazz Club. Did I say Maison and Margiela? Maison Margiela Jazz Club. I need to get my words right. This is such an amazing fragrance. It's boozy, it is gentlemanly, it's very suave. Some of the wintry notes in here are going to be rum, tobacco, and vanilla. These are, you know, you find these as kind of like the backbone of so many fragrances for the colder months. But some of the other notes in here that you will find that kind of give it that bright, vibrant lift that we look for in the summer are lemon, neroli, clary sage, and vetiver. And all of these thrown together, like I said, give it a bit of a dry feel. And whenever you get a dry or a powdery, you know, type of scent profile in there, that actually works against the humidity a little bit. So I would still recommend treading with caution, but you can still pull off Jazz Club even when it is a little more humid outside. It runs about $125, $130, but this one right here is my favorite from the replica line from Maison Margiela. It is niche quality in my opinion, okay? But I love this fragrance. It gets about 10 hours of longevity on my skin, and it is absolutely amazing. You can pull it off in the summertime. Jazz Club. Here we are at fragrance number 3, and this is one that I dare say may be my most versatile fall and wintertime fragrance that I use during the spring and summer. It is from the indie house of Abbott, based out of New York City. It is Telluride, and the scent profile is outstanding here. If you're a guy that likes a good rugged kind of manly man type of scent, I think this is absolutely what you need to have in your life. You know, some of the notes in here that you think of fall and wintertime is things like leather, sandalwood, and tonka bean. However, it does have some added notes of cardamom and suede. And what that does, that suede is like a very dry leather whenever you smell the note of suede. And it's dry to the point that it almost seems a bit powdery. And as you heard me talk about with Jazz Club, that powdery feel really works against the heat. So I think this is absolutely phenomenal to wear during the spring and summertime, even when it's humid. I would say if it's way humid, like if it just rained for 2 hours and you're just trying to walk outside, yep, don't wear this one, okay? But if it's a little bit humid or something, you're going to be able to pull this off just fine. It lasts about 6 hours. It costs $95 from their website, abbottnyc.com. Definitely go to their website. I'm going to link it in the description below. And here's another cool thing, by the way. All of these fragrances are inspired by actual locations here in the United States. And a portion of all of the money that you spend on their fragrances goes towards a non-profit set up to kind of preserve the wildlife area that these fragrances were inspired by. So I think that's just a really cool idea and a concept from a company, and I absolutely love working with these guys, man. They have been phenomenal to me. They've been very kind and very generous. So if you can, Telluride from Abbott, I would absolutely go to their website and buy yourself a bottle or buy yourself a sample. Moving right along to fragrance number 4, we have an absolute banger from the house of Tom Ford, and it's one of my favorites that his house has released. This is Tom Ford's Ombre Leather, and I have worn this one myself on many warm summer nights, and I freaking love it, okay? Now, when you see that it's a leather fragrance, it's automatically going to draw you towards those colder months. And there's a note of amber in here that kind of brings out the intensity of the leather, okay? It's not a subtle leather scent at all. But where this one stands out and makes it suitable for warmer months is the fact that it has some green and earthy notes mixed in with the leather scent to give it a very well-rounded, brand new leather jacket feel. We're talking cardamom, we're talking jasmine, moss, and patchouli, okay? It performs very well, okay? I get like 8 hours on my skin. If it's a little bit hotter outside, sometimes about 6, you know, that heat takes away from the longevity, okay? But I don't regret that. It still smells really good. Now, let's contrast this a little bit, though, to Tom Ford's Tuscan Leather. That is my wife's favorite fragrance that I have in my entire collection. That one is not as suited to spring and summertime, the warmer weather, as it is the cooler weather. Why? Because the Tuscan Leather is more spicy. That one sits much heavier on your skin, like I was talking about earlier in the video. It is much more heavy, much heavier if you want to use a proper wording there. Much heavier, much more dense than this one right here. So that one, I kind of put that one off just a little bit when it comes to being warm outside, but this one right here is going to be the one that I reach for when it does get warm. So Tom Ford's Ombre Leather, it's good for the summer. Now, while I'm on the topic of Tom Ford, I know a few of you are probably going to ask yourselves, why isn't he talking about Tom Ford's Oud Wood? The thing is, that one can work for the hot weather a little bit as well. It's not very versatile, and it has to be the right conditions for it to work. But if you know me, you know that when it comes to Tom Ford's Oud Wood, there is a niche fragrance that I have in my collection that I prefer much more, and I call it the Tom Ford Killer. This is from the niche house of Thameen. This is called Carved Oud. My friends, this one I believe to be superior to Tom Ford's Oud Wood because it does have quite a bit more versatility to it. It doesn't cost quite as much, and the performance is a little bit better as well. Obviously, this being an oud fragrance, It leans towards the colder months. But what makes it more suitable for the springtime especially, but some of the earlier summer months, is that it has some green and earthy notes to it. We're talking about cypress and patchouli, a little bit of iris in there, some vetiver, some sandalwood, some cedar, things like that. And when taken all together, what this reminds me of is this reminds me of sitting next to a creek, and I can smell some of the creek and river rocks. I can smell some of the grass. I can smell the trees. It's a little bit muddy, but it's very light, very fresh, and it's just super soothing because my grandparents, they lived in the mountains of North Carolina, just right outside of Asheville. They had a creek that went around their house. You could always hear the creek water flowing in the background, but this it brings back such great memories for me. It smells like a mountain valley. It is so great. But this one right here, this one costs about $225 for a 100 milliliter bottle of this one. You can go to twistedlily.com and use my coupon code REFSense10 to get a 10% discount and get this for about $200. Price-wise, better than Tom Ford. What was I going to say? Not quality-wise, because the quality's there in both of them, in my opinion. But performance-wise, it's going to go to this one because this one lasts 6 to 8 hours as opposed to the 5 or 6 hours that I get off of my skin with the oud wood. But Famine Carved Oud, definitely pick this one up. Fragrance number 6, let's go with a budget banger. This is going to be from the house of Perry Ellis. Now, in terms of fragrances, Perry Ellis is more known for 360 Red. That is the one that is a very inexpensive $20 fragrance that smells just like the original Acqua di Gio. Okay, it performs very well, and I always recommend it. But I had passed this particular Perry Ellis fragrance and Ross time after time, and I never knew what I was missing. And then one day I just decided to blind buy it, and I'm so glad I did. It is from the same line of 360. This is Perry Ellis 360 Black, okay? And just let me go ahead and tell you, just get this, okay? If you like a really good fall and winter fragrance that's got some bad boy vibes to it, this is a really good one to get. This is a 50 milliliter bottle. I got it for $18, and I'm going to leave a link in the description to my Joma Shop website where you can purchase 100 milliliters for like $20 to $25. It is absolutely worth your time, man, and it does give me a little bit of a kickback. I appreciate you guys doing that for me. But what makes this one so special, especially for the fact that we're talking about summertime fragrances and how to pull off these spicy, tobacco-y fragrances when it's hot outside, is the fact that this is a tobacco-based fragrance right here. But it's also got some added notes of amber, cardamom, ginger, some nutmeg, and suede. If you guys remember me talking about Telluride from Abbott, that suede gave it a little bit of a powdery scent profile. This one gives it a little bit of a powdery scent profile as well, but there's this underlying depth that it still keeps with that tobacco and amber in it especially. But my friends, it is so freaking good, man. This one is completely slept on, and I'm so upset that I don't see more people talking about this fragrance. Now, the downside to this one is it only lasts about 5 hours, but I think in terms of how much money I spent on a fragrance, I'm not going to complain about it too much because it's so inexpensive. What's the worst that's going to happen? You spend $18 on a fragrance that only lasts 4 or 5 hours. I don't mind doing that. But for the scent profile, I'm telling you guys, this one is absolutely worth it. So check it out, Perry Ellis 360 Black. Last up is a fragrance from the house of Mont Blanc that I freaking love. Okay, it may be my favorite. If not, it's definitely my top 3. And I know I've talked about it a few times on this channel. I may have even talked about it in my last video, but I don't care. It needs to be talked about, and you guys need to purchase this one if you can, okay? It is Mont Blanc Emblem Absolute, the stupid bottle with the freaking amazing fragrance in here. Now, what I like about this fragrance, aside from the smell, is that the scent profile and note breakdown, it's very unique, okay? It's like a sweet, earthy fragrance in the way that it reads on Fragrantica. It's got some pear, mandarin orange, cardamom, some fruity notes, and also some honey. That would scream, you know, just diabetes right there, for lack of a better term. But then it takes a slightly floral and earthy turn with some lavender, some patchouli, some vetiver, and some moss. It's like, how do these things work together? Well, when you take all of those things and you put them together and you try to think about what it makes you think of, it kind of makes me think of a log cabin just tucked back in the woods somewhere. I can smell the earth around me. I can smell some of the dry wood from the log cabin itself. Maybe like there's a pile of firewood that's resting against the cabin that I can smell. But it's very sweet, and you can kind of tell, like, if I think about it, it's like there's a chill that's getting ready to come in. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but when I smell this one, it absolutely makes sense to me. Even though there are no official woody notes in here, it does smell kind of woody, a very dry woody fragrance though. And it's that dry feel that makes it good for the springtime and the summertime. The dry feel really, really cuts through the heat very well. I get 6 hours on my skin with this, and it's about $35 or $40. It's got some moderate projection. When would I wear this? Just whenever the hell I feel like it, to be honest with you. It can be worn during the day. It can be worn during the night. I think it's incredibly versatile for what it is. But Mont Blanc Emblem Absolute, it's a stunner. Get it. Guys, I'm telling you what, fall and winter fragrances don't have to be restricted to cold months. But like I said, you have to be very careful in how you wear them. Don't wear them when it is really, really humid outside. Don't wear fall and winter fragrances that sit too heavy on your skin. It can screw a lot of things up, okay? And the presentation of the fragrance on your skin and how you're trying to present yourself to people around you, it's just going to be off, okay? But these fragrances right here, they can absolutely get you by. And when you're shopping for fragrances, look for these type of note breakdowns and these qualities, the ones that are a little bit powdery, maybe a little bit earthy and aromatic. You know, they exist out there, so be on the lookout. Do your research before you buy them, and then just rock them whenever you want to. Guys, I'm so glad you joined me for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, share this with all your friends, do whatever. But in the meantime, just remember how much I love you. I'll see you next time.